On Writing and Failure by Stephen Marche, an extended reflection on the writer's life. Stephen Marche's On Writing and Failure is a blistering, eloquent, and darkly humorous meditation on the brutal realities of a writer's life. At once confessional, historical, and defiant, the essay peels back the illusions surrounding literary success, offering instead a raw portrait of writing as a vocation defined not by achievement, but by rejection, perseverance, and profound vulnerability. This is not a guidebook for how to write. It's a survival manual for those who are determined or condemned to do so. Writing as submission, the permanent condition of rejection. Marche opens with the deceptively simple question many writers ask: does it get easier? His answer, like Philip Roth's before him, is a bitter truth. No, it gets harder. The skin doesn't toughen. It thins. Writing is exposure, and the longer you do it, the more defenseless you become. Marche insists that failure is not an obstacle on the path to success, but the essential condition of the craft. To write is to submit, not just manuscripts but oneself, to a relentless stream of indifference, misunderstanding, and silence. Even for writers who have made it, rejection doesn't stop. Success merely shifts the nature of who or what you must now appease. The hustle is perpetual. Rejections pile up like sediment, not as signs of unworthiness, but as the fossil record of your persistence. 2. The myth of redemption through hardship. Modern culture fetishizes failure as a prelude to greatness. Every commencement speech and TED Talk seems to extol the redemptive arc: fall, struggle, rise. Marche demolishes this myth. For writers, failure is not always followed by success. More often, it's followed by more failure. And even when success does come, it doesn't guarantee peace, meaning, or recognition. In the world of writing, obscurity and misunderstanding are constants, not exceptions. Marche draws on real stories from literary history to drive home this point. Melville died broke and unknown. Keats died believing he had accomplished nothing. Even Orwell, with Animal Farm in hand, was rejected because of political convenience. Success, if it comes at all, often arrives late, distorted, or posthumously. 3. A pantheon of literary failure. The heart of the essay lies in its deep dive into the lives of literary figures who epitomize both the agony and absurdity of writing. Marche revisits their stories not to idolize them, but to highlight their brokenness, their irrelevance in their own lifetimes, their marginality. Samuel Johnson, forced to ghostwrite parliamentary debates and poems for hire, living off crumbs while writing works of genius. Richard Savage, a tragic dandy drifting through London's underworld, mythologized by Johnson as a genius undone by society. Jane Austen, who never saw her name on her books. James Joyce, denied a teaching job despite being the author of Dubliners. Herman Melville, who sold barely 2,000 copies of Moby Dick and had Billy Budd languishing in a bread box after his death. Anna Akhmatova, writing masterpieces from memory under Soviet terror, with friends memorizing her work and then burning it. These portraits strip away any lingering illusion that talent leads to reward. In fact, sometimes the better the writer, the worse the outcome. 4. The institutional collapse. Marche turns a sharp eye toward the decay of the institutions that once made literary life viable. Magazines, newspapers, publishing houses, and academia all have been gutted or transformed beyond recognition. He compares his own career arc to an endless improvisation, leaping from ice floe to ice floe as the literary world melts beneath his feet. Writers today, especially young ones, must remake themselves constantly just to stay afloat. The mediums change, the platforms vanish, the audiences fragment. Nothing is secure. A cynical hope, perseverance as the only constant. So why write? If success is rare, reward unreliable, and suffering all but guaranteed, what is the point? Marche's answer is both bleak and galvanizing. Write because you must. Write because the act of writing itself is meaningful. Write because your refusal to give up, to stop submitting, to stop creating, is an act of resistance in a world that does not care. Rejection, he says, must become something you crave. Each no is proof that you are still in the fight. This isn't about martyrdom or noble suffering. Marche explicitly rejects the romanticization of pain. Suffering doesn't exalt, but it does clarify. Those who endure are not better writers, just still standing. That alone is a kind of victory. 6. Broken writers as holy figures. Marche weaves a macabre canon of failed, forgotten, or misunderstood authors and treats their suffering as sacred testimony. Ovid, exiled for a poem and a mistake, writing in a barbarian tongue until his verse disappeared into oblivion. Ezra Pound, from shaping modernism to humiliating collaboration and regret. Ali Bai and Du Fu, drifting, drunken, impoverished, composing immortal poetry with no reward. Sima Qian, castrated for offending power, finishing his history because it mattered more than his own dignity. Dostoevsky, nearly executed in a mock firing squad, reborn into artistic greatness through trauma. These stories are not parables of redemption. They're evidence of the reality that greatness and ruin are not opposites in a writer's life, they are companions. 7. The writer's tragicomic condition. The essay closes with one of its most brilliant sections, a meditation on the absurd egos and fragile identities of writers. Marche dissects the relationship between F. Scott Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway as a cautionary tale of self-perception. Fitzgerald, massively successful, felt like a failure. Hemingway, full of swagger, succeeded by belief alone. It's all about perspective. In perhaps the most biting metaphor in the book, he compares literary self-worth to measuring your penis in a mirror. The angle changes everything. 8. What remains? Throw yourself against the door. What's the takeaway? Marche has no formula. He disdains feel-good narratives. He respects tenacity above all. To write is to endure, to throw yourself against the door, with no guarantee it will ever open. You don't have to suffer to write. But if you write long enough, suffering will come. Rejection will come. Obscurity will come. The only thing you can control is whether or not you keep going. Perseverance is not noble, it's necessary. Conclusion. Stephen Marche's On Writing and Failure is the literary world's brutally honest eulogy for itself. It is a portrait not of writing as glamour or genius, but as a slow, grinding attrition of hope, met with a stubborn refusal to quit. His message to writers is hard and clear. If you want to write, be prepared to be forgotten, misunderstood, and broken. And then write anyway. This is an inspiration. It's initiation.